Hello guys, it's me Earl, and this time this video is intended for those viewers who wants to learn about chess. Okay, so let me just give a short introduction about myself. So my name is Earl Daniel Gabinete. I'm a Filipino. I am 26 years old, and this time the FIDE online FIDE or the Chess Federation granted me an online title, which is ACM. It means Arena Candidate Master. Okay, so that online title is also um, recognized. Okay, especially if I'm going to participate in um, tournaments. Okay, in FIDE rated tournaments, whether on the board like I really play physically or whether online. But remember, just for you to know, online title is different from on the board titles. Okay, because there are titles in on the board that is really the standard title. We call them like FIDE Master or FM. It was written before the name of the person. Okay, like if FM Rodenia, like FIDE Master Rodenia, like that. Okay, but for me, I have an online title. It was already granted to me. It was granted to me last year. Okay, by FIDE. So but if you're going to ask me how did I able to to have or to how did I receive my title, of course the I registered myself as a member of FIDE. I have an ID and I have my number also there, like a serial number. And then I submit some information, and I strictly follow what they require me to do. Like in online FIDE online, they required me a certain number of games that I need to be consistent. I need to maintain this kind of rating that I will not lose. Okay, so it took me, I believe, several months. Okay, of improving, of playing and maintaining that kind of rating. And then after that, the FIDE just emailed me and they gave me my online title as ACM. Okay, it means Arena Candidate Master. Okay, it's an online rating, but still, it is still recognized if I'm going to participate in an on the board tournaments. Okay, so now to begin with, for you to know, just to give a little introduction about chess. Chess is more than a game. Okay, chess is more than a game. It is a battle of mind, and in fact, um, in chess, your patience is tested. You're going to analyze more, understand more patterns, master. Okay, especially master variations. Okay, why I like playing chess? Because, or personally, why do I like playing chess? I like playing chess because it develops firstly patience and discipline. Okay, that every decision that I'm going to make, I put it in mind. It has consequence. If I make mistakes, I also will face consequences in the game, and it encourages me also to think before doing or acting something. And it teaches me that every move, of course, it's either good result or or bad result. Okay, so remember, chess or the chessboard, as you can see here, here at my back. Okay, chess has 64 squares. Okay, it was arranged in 8 by 8 grid. Okay, meaning it has 8 columns and it has 8 rows and it has numbers. Okay, so A B C D E F G H, that's going to be the row numbers. Okay, and the column, or the we call it uh, rank. Okay, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, we call them rank. So rank has numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's a 64 squares. Now let me introduce to you here in my board. As you can see, um, these pieces, okay, I'm going to name them, and you just take note and remember. Okay, later on I'm going to show to you how to play them. Okay, so the name of this piece, we call them king. Okay, and these pieces, okay, these are bishops. Okay, or if it's one, bishop. Okay, so these pieces, we call them knight, or as Filipinos, sometimes we call them horse. Okay, but if you're going to follow strictly how chess name them, as for the sake of notation, because sometimes when you're playing chess, you need to write. Okay, so we call them knight. Okay, knight. That's with K. And these pieces are called or named as rooks. Okay, or one rook. Okay, so and these pieces, the eight of them in front of these major pieces, okay, we call them pawns. Okay, now for you to know what's the value of them, rooks, okay, the value of rooks is in chess, the points would be 5 points. Okay, the knight and bishop, okay, are call this are equivalent to 3 points. Okay, so meaning one knight is three. The same with bishop. Okay, it's also three. And for queen, queen has a value of, if I'm not mistaken, it's eight. Okay, 8 points. Okay, and in chess, of course, the king has a value of I mean not 10. Sorry. Okay, but in chess, the value of king is infinite. Okay, that's really how chess view it. Okay, because why is that? Because king, if there's no king, or if the king is checkmated, okay, the game is over. Okay, and if you don't have all the pieces, let's say you don't have any more pawns, or you don't have this major pieces, you only have the quick king, you're still alive, and you can still somehow manage to win, okay, or draw. And most probably, just for you to know, if you have only a king, remaining in the board, most likely you can't win. Okay, so you will only have draw, or you're going to have, or you will only have um, lose only. Okay, or two possibilities. Okay, either you will lose, or either you will um, draw. Okay, so if the only pieces left in your board is the king. Okay, so again, so these are, okay, we call this, okay, pieces, except the king, we call them major pieces. Okay, so the rook has 5 points, the queen has 5 points. We call them major pieces because these pieces have the most points, and it's one of the most strongest pieces in your board. Okay, and knight, bishops, okay, and the pawns, most likely we call them as general as minor pieces. Okay, again, major pieces are rooks and queen. Okay, minor pieces are knights and bishops together with the pawns because of their point value. Okay, now how to play them? Okay, let's start. Okay, so okay, let me just remove, okay, the, okay, all the, okay, pieces. Okay, let's start with the king. Okay, the king, the most, call this one the piece that has the most, okay, the most important, okay, piece in the board. Okay, now firstly, you can see for the king it has infinite points. Okay, I mentioned it earlier, but for the king, okay, sorry for that. Okay, for the king, it can how you move them, how you move the king, it can move anywhere. Okay, whether you can move them like okay, like this pattern, or back and forth. Okay, you can do that, or you can move the king through diagonal squares. Okay, like you're going to move them just in diagonal, the same colors. Okay, the same with the black. Okay, in diagonal. So if you want to move them like that, so therefore, okay, that is valid. Okay, that's how you move the king. Okay, now question: how can you eliminate a piece using a king? Now let's say, okay, let me just adjust my camera so that you can able to see my board. Okay, so that's it. Now, how can you be able to eat a piece, okay, an opponent's piece? Let's just say the opponent has a knight over here, okay, and your king, the white king, is here. Okay, how can you eat them? So if you're thinking that you cannot eat the knight because your squares are different, okay, actually in chess, uh, the dark squares are most likely color brown or dark brown or black. Okay, it just so happened that my board is different color, but that's the same. Dark colors, okay, are this one we call it. It's either can be many colors in your board like dark brown or black. Okay, but it's okay. Regardless, the king can eat a piece as long as it is near to him. Okay, so the king can eat the knight here like this. Okay, if the knight is here in the diagonal, still the king can eat it. But the king cannot eat the knight if the king is not close to that piece, to that opponent's piece. Okay, so meaning the king needs to be here in order for the king to be able to eat it. Okay, so the same way with if there are certain ways like if it's a queen, of course you cannot move close because queen has full control of every square. Okay, because queen is also how queen moves. It's the same with the king. But in terms of range, okay, the queen has the most, okay, extraordinary range in chess. Okay, why is that? Because the queen can jump from any space. Okay, any space. For example, I want to put my queen from here to there. Okay, I just move it like this. Okay, it can jump as many squares as it wants to. Okay, but of course the queen cannot eat the king. Remember, no pieces can eat the king. The king can only be trapped using checkmate, or the king can only be you know call this one, can be evaded by many pieces. Okay, but no pieces can eat the king. You just have to trap it, you just have to corner it, or we call it checkmate. Okay, then that's the time that the player will resign if its king is already example. The king is here, like at the side, and let's just say you have a bishop. Okay, bishop here. Okay, and then okay, of course, okay, if you have a bishop here, okay, let's just say the queen is here. Okay, of course, the king cannot eat the queen because, okay, of bishop, meaning the bishop is supporting the queen. Okay, so you cannot escape because the queen's range, okay, sorry, okay, because the queen's range is here, here, all of this, okay. These are the range of the queen. Okay, meaning the king is within the range of the queen. Okay, now, so done discussing the king, I just give a for this one a fast introduction with the queen because the queen will be the one we're going to discuss. Okay, so now let's discuss more about the queen. Okay, like what I said, the queen has an option whether he wants to jump from one circle or the other. Okay, so you can jump either here or there. as long as within its range. Example, you just move straight or diagonals. Example, you want to put this queen over here, so it is valid. You can move it there. Okay, so let's just say you want to move your queen over here. Okay, in f6 square. Okay, we call them f6 because of this. Okay, so like that. But how about if you want to move your queen in the corner? Okay, move it here. It's still okay because the queen is in the diagonal. And the queen can also move, has an option to move one circles at a time, like the king. It can go advance, can go diagonals, okay, or it can move backwards, okay. So how can you eat, okay, using a queen? It's the same way. Okay, what you just need to do is to make sure that the piece is within its squares, whether in diagonal or whether moving upward or downward or moving sides. Okay, as long as the queen, that piece is within the range of the queen. Let's just say the piece is here. Of course, if it's your move, you can eat it using your queen. Okay. So let us just let's say if your queen is here, okay, in the corner, and opponent's piece is here, you can eat that because it's within its range. Okay, the same way with here. It's because this is also the range of the queen. It has the full, okay, range, okay, within the squares, okay, all the squares, okay, in the board. So you can move it upward and eat the knight. Okay, so it can also do like as the king does, like if the piece is near, also near the queen, you can eat that. Okay, so there. But again, let me repeat, you cannot eat the king. You cannot do this one, okay? Because the king can only be checkmated, okay? It can only be cornered, or in other way, you will make your opponent, resign, okay? So, okay, we're done with the king, we're done with the queen. Now let's look, or let's move with the rook. Now for the rook, it's not the same as the king or the queen. Rook also has a unique ability. Okay, Rook can move sideways, upward, or downward. That's it, except for diagonals, meaning the rook cannot move like as king and queen did. Okay, so no, like what I discussed earlier, rooks can move downward here. It can also move one square at a time, as long as it's upward or downward. Okay, now I mentioned it can also move sideways. So it can move here, can move here. If the rook is here, you can move it here, okay, sideways. It can move also, okay, one square at a time, but it cannot move, okay, diagonals. Okay, that's wrong. Upward, downward, or one square at a time, going downward one square at a time, or sideways. Okay, there, that's how you move your rook. Okay, it's clear. So meaning if you have a piece here, okay, you just need to move it up first and then hit it, because the rook needs to move again upward and downward and sideways. Okay, so if the piece is here for your opponent, you can eat that. Okay, if the piece is here at the corner, you can eat it. Okay, if your rook is here and there's a piece here, you can still eat it. Okay, because it's within its range. Okay, upward or downward and sideways. Okay, so that's the rook. Next, let's proceed to bishop. Okay, bishop, you have two bishop in every color of your piece. Okay, because we have two colors in our piece, we have white and we have black. But the bishops are positioned in two opposite colors. Okay, meaning one bishop is for dark squares, the other bishop is for the light squares. Okay, so this bishop can move if it's, because most likely bishops are put in here in these squares. Okay, this one, so that you know. So meaning this bishop. Okay, let's start with the. Okay, so let's not make it too much for you. Okay, so this you have. Let's say you have two bishop. Okay, in a game, of course. So this bishop can only move within its, okay, as colors. Okay, and most likely, okay, since all the colors we're going to observe, all these colors are in diagonals, right? In diagonal patterns like this. If you're going to look like diagonal, whether no matter where you are facing, it's always diagonal. Okay, so most likely you're going to move them within these diagonals. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, this. Okay, so as long as it's within its range, you can eat a piece. Let's say there's a rook here, you can eat it. Okay, let's say there's a rook here, you can eat it because it's the same color square. Okay, you can eat that. Whether it's close, within, okay, just square apart, you can eat it. Okay, or let's just say at the longest diagonal. Okay, this is the longest diagonal in chess. This part. Okay, so let's say the opponent's piece is here. You can eat it. Okay, because it's within its range and that is diagonal. Okay, so that's how you move the bishop. Okay, clear? And for the knight, okay, the knight, okay, can move in an L-shaped pattern. Okay, so what's an L-shaped pattern? So L is like this. Okay, so meaning how can you call this one, because knight is also a tricky. We call it tricky, a trickster. Okay, in chess. Okay, knight can move in an L-shaped pattern. That's an L. Okay, from where it is standing, which square it is standing, that's where you start your count. Okay, you count one, two, three, and then you move either left or either right. So let's just say, can I jump here? Yes, because that's an L-shaped pattern. One, two, three, and one square on the right. You can jump here. Okay. So how about if you're going to jump on, moving left side? Yes, you can. You can jump in this square because it's like count. Okay, one, two, three, then L, jump. Okay, it has also many ways. You can count also this one as, as a square. Okay, that like what I said earlier. Like you count one, two, three, then you move your, you include this one square at the right or one square at the left. If your net is here, okay, you can move here, you can move here, like this. Okay, it has also many patterns, like it can be either one, two, three, four. You can jump there. Okay, it can also be one, two, three, four, as long as you create an L-shaped pattern. Okay, one, two, three, four, jump here. Okay, one, two, three, four, that's L, jump here. Okay, if you want to go back, one, two, three, four, jump here. If you want to go here, one, two, three, four. Okay, or you can go here, one, two, three, four. It's the same way. Okay, so L, 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 L. Okay, that's how you move your knight. Okay, meaning if there's an opponent piece here, you can eat it. Okay, so meaning if there's an opponent piece here, okay, or you can eat it. Okay, let's say there's a queen over here, you can eat it. Okay, there's a rook over here, you can eat that. Okay, so that's how you move these pieces, and these minor pieces, bishops and knight and queen and also rook and the king. Okay, now let's move uh, with the pawns. Okay, let me discuss it to you. So the pawns, most likely, okay, we will put the pawns, they are placed in the starting position, okay, on the second rank, okay, of the board. okay, on the, okay, seventh rank, okay, or second rank for white. Okay, sorry for that. It's supposed to be white. Okay, second rank for white. Okay, seventh rank for the black. Okay, so in your starting position, or if you did not move yet the pawn, they are still on the second rank. Okay, you have two options to move, how to move the pawns. Okay, you can either skip a square and move it on the g4. Okay, so you can jump all the way skipping one square, but pawns can only move one square at a time. But in a starting position, and if you did not touch them, they are still on the second rank, they can move, okay, skip one square. Okay, or you can have an option, just move it here. Okay, most likely, in theories, there are certain positions that we need to move the pawn once, one square at a time. But there are also positions that we just move it, okay, two squares, okay, skipping one square. Okay, so how do you eat? How do you eliminate a piece using a pawn? Okay, so as you can see, pawns are, okay, we put them in a certain squares positions. They are not most likely, they are, call it, they are alternate in terms of squares, like black white black white black white black white, like that. Okay, so how do you eat using a pawn? So if you place your pawn here and you have an opponent, and your opponent has a pawn over here, most likely you eat them. Okay, because pawns can eliminate pawns, or a pawn can only take another piece within the diagonal, meaning the pawn cannot eat, okay, the other pawn if it's, if if the other pawn is in its front. Okay, no, you can't do that. Okay, a pawn can only eliminate a piece if it's only in the same color. Okay, so if your piece is here, you cannot eat this black pawn because it's not, okay, it should be, this black pawn should be, okay, within the same colored square, meaning you cannot eat this pawn but you can eat this pawn. Okay, so you eat it. Okay, and in terms of what we call this one, a special um, ability of the pawn. Okay, so in chess, most likely, if our pawns would be, it reach here in the side already, it's already on the side of your opponent's space. Okay, this one, because this one is the border, between fifth rank and fourth rank. That's the border of, the space of the chessboard. If, as white, your pawn is already on the fifth rank, okay? Now, let's say you have an option, okay? Let's say you have an option moving your pawn as black, uh, either two squares, right? You're skipping one square, or you only want to move one pawn. Let's just say this pawn is here, okay? This pawn is here, blocking this pawn. And it's, let's just say that it is it's black move. So if black decide to move its pawn, moving it two squares, moving it on f5, this pawn has a special ability, what we call uh, uh, en passant. Okay, we call it en passant, or in French, I believe it's on pass on. Okay, they said on pass on. Okay, meaning if this pawn, okay, the opponent, or your, or the other player move it twice, and this pawn is here, you have an option to take it like this, and this pawn is eliminated. Meaning you will take you will take this pawn out, and you put this pawn from here to here. Okay, that's the rules. Okay, why is it like that? That's how, the rules said. Okay, and we need to follow them. Okay, sometimes we ask like, why it's unfair, right? Yeah, but that's how you play it. And if the opponent would decide either here, of course, still the same way, you can capture it, or you can just ignore. Okay, just just defend this pawn like that. Okay, so again, remember, you have a chance to eat this pawn if this pawn would be moved twice. Okay, you take them. Let's just say this pawn is here, and it's black's move, still the same way. If this black can move here, you can eat it. But this special ability can only happen once in a pawn like this. Why is that so? Let's just say there are two possibilities, right, for you to capture. If this pawn can either move here, or if this pawn is here, okay, the white pawn can have a chance to take it. Okay, so let's just say the opponent moves here. And if you're a chess player, you're thinking, okay, I can en passant that. Okay, I can capture it. But if you're thinking that, okay, if I capture, it will make my squares open if my king is here, and he has a rook here. Let's just say your king is here. If I take that, I take it away. My call this one. My squares are open. So why would I take it? Okay. So you're going to think that, okay, so I have an option not to take it, right? So of course you have an option to do that. So meaning, if this your opponent, okay, move this pawn, you have an option not to take it. Okay, it's not force. Okay, but if let's say you did not take, okay, and you just move other pawns, like you defend it, like this one. Now it's black's turn, right? So let's just say the black would move his rook here. Now question, can I still do en passant? Okay, the answer is no, you can. Because en passant only will happen if your opponent will move this pawn on this square, or you have the opportunity, in short, to do en passant. If you miss the en passant, you move other pieces, you can't do it anymore. Okay, it can only happen once. Okay, and let's say, okay, that's one of the special ability. One also is that if this pawn would reach the last rank or corner, okay, of your opponent's space or board, most likely we trade this pawn with any of your pieces. Okay, as long as it's not a king. Okay, we only have one king. Okay, so it can only be queen. Okay, example, this pawn reach here, you exchange it with a rook. Okay, let's just say, okay, you move here and then you promote, and then you don't want queen. Okay, you want knight. Yeah, it's okay also. Okay, so let's just say you always want a queen. You have two pass pawns here. Okay, like two pass pawns here. Okay, you move. Okay, you exchange it with a queen. Okay, let's say your opponent has a pawn here and he moves, and then you promote again. You can have another queen as you want, as long as those pawns would reach here. You can have as many queen as you want, okay, in the board. Okay, if you successfully promote, we call it promote, all your pawns, okay, you can exchange it to any pieces that you like, except king, because we only have one king. Okay, so that's the basics of playing chess, and I hope that in this simple, okay, recording, this simple study, you can able to play chess and also understand how to move them. Okay, so let's just say we're going to have call this one we're going to have a game. Okay, of course, these pieces, we call it officials. Again, minor pieces, knight and bishop. Okay, queen and rook are major pieces. Okay, you cannot move the bishops. Okay, as long as it is still blocked by your pawns. You need to make a space and a way for bishop to go out. Okay, the same with the rook. You cannot just jump the rook here if there are, okay, like this sample. Okay, the rooks cannot hop then skip one square, right? Okay, it can only skip one square if there's no pawn there. Okay, but if somebody is blocking it, whether it's your pieces or whether it's opponent's pieces, you cannot jump. Okay, you cannot skip it. Okay, meaning this, I can either eat it, okay, or you can go either sideways, ignore, but no skipping. The same way with bishop, okay. If your bishop is here, you cannot skip one square, okay. It's either you eat it or you avoid it, okay. So, but for knight, again, knight is a kind of unique. That's why we call it trickster, because it can jump as many square as it wants, as long as that square is available for it. Knight can jump here, it can take here, can jump here, it can take here. Okay, and let's just say there are a lot of pawns over here, and the knight is here. It can jump all the way. Okay, so that's the special ability of the knight. Okay. So again, let's just put our study into action. Let's just say, let's do opening. You move the pawns. Okay, let's start with the white. Okay, you move your pawn here, two squares. Okay, um, black also moves two squares. Now, the reason why this move is so basic in chess is because it opens not just only one space for a piece, but two. Okay, two powerful pieces, which is bishop and queen, because queen has an okay, um, open space for it. Okay, so it can go here, it can go here. Okay, you can either move your queen one step at a time, one square at a time, or your bishop, you just go directly move it here, or you can go here, or here, or here. Okay, but for knight, no need to move any squares. If you want to move knight in your first move, it can just hop, can skip. Okay, so but for bishop, for king, for queen, okay, king for queen, for rooks, you cannot move them without giving them space. Okay, so that's how you play, okay, basic chess. And I hope somehow I can able to clearly discuss to you the rules and somehow how to play, okay, these pieces in chess. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for taking time. Please like, subscribe, and please share this video. And I hope that also in the near future you can also comment, okay, so that I can, if there are areas that I need to improve myself, you can you can suggest some things. And if there are still some blurry areas that we need to discuss, you can share, okay, and you can ask. Then in our future videos we can discuss them. Okay, I'll try my best to discuss them. Okay, thank you so much, guys, and thank you for watching. Thank you for taking time in watching. Okay, and God bless you all. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.